What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel for another video, and today we're going to talk about one of the most common mistakes people have with their footwork, and that is not having a crossover step in their approach. Let's go to the lanes and let's talk a little bit about what this means and how you can fix it. All right, so one thing that we see consistently from entry-level bowlers to even competitive bowlers is people not having the proper footwork, especially early in the approach, and this can cause a lot of problems with alignment, consistency, being able to execute good shots when you need to. So we need to really address the problem, and really where it starts is having that crossover step. And the real reason why having the crossover step is so important is because it gives your ball space to move past your body and get into the proper place in your swing. If you don't get out of the way of the ball, you're not going to just let the ball hit your hip or hit your leg. So what you're going to ultimately do without realizing it is you're going to start manipulating that ball physically around your body. And this is bad for a number of reasons. One, it's going to bring muscle into the equation. And as we've talked about on a previous video, when it comes to the arm swing, we want no muscle. We want it to be as loose as humanly possible. And so that, A, is going to lead to a lot of inconsistencies. And B, the other thing that it's going to bring into play is all of a sudden your ball is going to start getting out of alignment with your head. As we know, great bowlers, when it comes to executing shots over and over again consistently, they have their ball in alignment with their head throughout the backswing for as much as possible. Okay, so what does a good crossover step look like? Essentially, for a right-handed bowler, what you want is you want that right foot to cross over your left foot to give you that space to drop that ball in. Now, some people, they have a crossover step where it's like a tight rope walk where they just cross it all over exactly in front of that left foot. And some bowlers like to exaggerate it and do it even past that left foot to give them all the space in the world. Again, this is for a right-hander. If you're lefty, just reverse the feet and it's the same thing. So what you need to do is you need to find a comfortable place. You don't need it super exaggerated, right? You don't need it 1 foot or 2 foot outside of that left foot. You don't need to go super far with it. You just need to be able to create enough space to where that ball can drop in. And so another important element of this is timing. If you're out of time and you push the ball super early, it's going to be really hard to let that crossover step do the work because your ball's already going to be in the swing and your feet aren't going to have enough time to get out of the way. So this is a really important thing to keep in mind, is that if you don't have the right timing when it comes to that first couple of steps in your push away and your approach, it's going to be really hard to get that push away into the swing because you're not going to have the room. And the same thing is, all of a sudden, if you push the ball a little too late, and that swing is getting going when you're taking maybe your third step into the approach, again, it's going to be hard because the crossover step really works well when your ball is in timing. So you want to make sure to get back down to the basics too with this, and you want to make sure that you're pushing the ball in time, in proper timing, which if you use a 5-step approach, it's when you're taking that second step, or if you use a 4-step approach, it's when you're taking that first step. You really want to try to get as close to as in good timing as you can to take advantage of that push away. Now let's talk about a couple of different drills. They're very similar, but we can do a couple different drills that you can use even at home. You don't need to go to the bowling alley to be able to do to help work on your crossover step. And so what we're going to do is essentially you're going to get into a setup position like you're going to get ready to bowl. And then you're going to take, depending if you take 4 or 5 steps, you're going to take your first step or your first 2 steps, and then you're going to do that crossover step and drop the ball into that swing like you normally would, and you're going to exaggerate that crossover step so you can see what it feels like to create that space. And if you want to take this drill to the next level, what you can do is you can go out on the lanes or at home, and you can put some sort of a visual cue on the approach or on the floor that you want to step on for your crossover step. So in a bowling alley, it's easy to use an example. You can start up in your setup position and you can put a piece of tape where you take that second step and you can use it as a visual cue. And because we're not caring about the lanes, we're not caring about how many pins we knock down, we're not caring about even throwing the ball, we're simply just taking 2 steps and dropping the ball into the swing, you can straight look at the floor while you're doing these steps, or a couple of steps if you use, again, 5-step approach, and you can look at the floor for a visual cue and literally step on that piece of tape or whatever marking you put on the approach. Therefore, you can easily feel what it's like to have that crossover step and do it correctly every time, because you can look at the ground. And then as you get better and better at it, you can stop looking at the ground and you can then do the drill without looking down. And after you do this crossover step and drop the ball into the swing, look down and see where your foot went and see if you're getting the hang of it and getting that muscle memory. And then over time, you can start integrating this into a full approach, and you'll be able to realize how much easier it is to get that ball into the swing, how much easier it is to be consistent, and therefore you'll go out there and you will bowl higher scores. All right, guys, that's it for the video about the most common mistake we see people make with their footwork. Let us know in the comments if this is something you struggle with, if you use drills similar to these, and if they've helped you in the past. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next video.